We are live. Hi, Lynn. Thank you for joining me this morning. How are you?
I'm good, Lyndall. Lovely to be here. And I thought I might do this outside because I thought people might like to have a look at where they might be rather than just what they might be doing. So
yeah, no. So that's the arena that you would be working from.
Yeah.
Working out of. Yep. And so on the day, what can people expect to be doing in the afternoon with you?
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit. If I tell you a little bit about the sort of story behind it, rather than just exactly what they're doing, because then they might understand a little bit more. So,
oh, there's a horsey.
Sorry, yeah, they decided to join in. So I'm a business coach, narrative coach, trained facilitator, and all of that sort of stuff. So I bring, obviously.
What's a narrative coach?
Working with people's stories.
Right.
So, it's sort of like, you might have heard the expression, change the story, change yourself.
Yep.
So it's about teasing out the stories that people tell themselves, energetically as well as intellectually, and then helping them reframe those stories in a more beneficial way. So that's the sort of background that I'm personally coming from. And I guess the thing about any human facilitator is that we all see everything through our own lens of perception.
Yep.
So we're bringing our own stories to everything. So if I am working with a client, then there'll be little things that I pick up that are of interest to me that I explore with them.
Yeah.
By bringing the horses in, whilst I'm still there holding the container for everybody and still following my own inquiry, what the horses allow people to do is actually see for themselves what's going on. So they haven't got my lens in between them and what's happening to them. So
they don't have a perception, really.
The horses don't have they don't tell the same sorts of stories that we do. They're just completely, authentic in responding to what's they're perceiving, feeling in the person at the time.
Yeah.
So
amazing. I love that. And like all of our facilitators, it's all based along the same philosophies. So, and I just feel like with all of this type of thing, with this inner journey, is the more you hear it in so many different ways and different perceptions and the way that people say things and the different experience through essentially moving in that same direction, somewhere along the lines it will click in for someone, and they'll get that momentum. And sometimes it takes them having to get through that fear a little bit. And I mean, horses are beautiful, and I personally don't think there's anything to fear, but some people are scared of them because they are so big and they're the huge energy and they can be quite overpowering. And so being faced with that, I think is kind of what can help people move and shift. So why do you use the horses in this as well then?
Because apart from anything else, we find that it actually works for people much more. Oh, look, we've got another visitor here. So this is part of, so the whole thing of being in nature is part of it as well, which is why we're doing it, outside. I'll just see if I can get our little friend here. Hang on. Can you see him?
Hang on. Oh, a birdie.
He's a wild bird. He's just come in to say hello.
Yeah, wants to be in the action. Don't forget me. Broody. That's what I love about being in nature, like just the most unexpected things and the creatures that just all of a sudden decide they want to appear and be a part of us, part of it. Yeah.
I'm actually just going to try and switch my view around while I'm talking to you, because now everybody's seen my face. They've probably seen enough of that. So there you go. So these are
nice
some of my co-facilitators.
Yeah.
So the thing about what we found over the years that we've been doing this is that for some the horses cut through to things very quickly for people.
And why do you think that is? Just because they are, energy beings, or?
I think that's certainly part of what it is, because they do have a massive presence and energy.
Yeah.
But I think it's that as well, that when they connect with people, they really connect in an authentic way. And you can see the responses. So, one of the things that we do is we actually sort of talk to people about experiencing the horse's body language and how they react. And then you can monitor what's happening for yourself based on how they react to you. And that is much more direct than talking about it, because you can actually change things in real time and see what's going on. So I'll just have a little try with Tetska here. So I'm not more interesting than grass at the moment, which is kind of normal because they spend most of their lives eating.
Yeah.
But I'll walk towards her and see if you can see any changes in her.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm doing. So you look at their ears and their eyes and just their body.
Yep.
And the birds are having a great time as well.
And so, for people that don't know about horses, if their ears are pointing forward, what does that mean versus if they're pointing backwards?
So if their horses, if you look at her ears, hang on, we'll look at this one coming over here. So see how her ears were pointing forward, then they go back?
Yep.
And then they're forward again. Yep. Hello, darling. So usually what it is, where their ears are pointing is actually where their attention is.
Right, where they're listening, yep.
Yeah. And so, and when their ears are just sort of loose and floppy, like hers are at the moment, they're just kind of relaxed. They're sort of just hanging out with what's going on.
Yeah.
If they're back but not flat on their neck, then it means, their attention's behind them. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but then they do have a signal where they put their ears flat back on their necks, and then they usually scrunch up their nostrils at the same time. And that's their first sign of get out of my space.
Right.
Okay, so everything they do, they give us lots of warning. Yeah. They're social animals. They're not competitive animals.
Yeah.
They're not aggressive animals. So the problem that people have with horses is that they don't learn to read the little signs, because they'll give you lots and lots and lots of little signs before they do anything, and mostly what they do is try and get out of there.
Yes.
And I guess for people, that's the most important thing when we talk about it from a safety perspective, is to give the horses room if you're not sure. And if we've got people who are really nervous, then they can watch from outside the fence.
Yeah.
Because you can still interact with them from outside the fence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, as I've been working with horses more, it's definitely learning what you're feeling, because that what you feel is also very intuitive to what's going on with them. And, and like you said, looking at the cues of what they're doing to give you an indication of what might be going on. And also really being aware of your own heart rate, because that's a really big one. They can feel, they're so sensitive, right? They can feel if you're nervous and that heart is beating, they can feel that and they can sense that because their vision and their feeling is so much further than ours.
That's right. And they don't know why you're afraid.
Yes.
So you might be afraid of them, and that might be what's causing your heart rate and everything to come up. They're just aware that you're afraid.
Yeah. And then they're looking around thinking, do I need to be afraid as well? Is there a fox after me or something like that?
Yeah. So what allows people to do under those circumstances is then we might start doing some breathing with people, or just getting them, more centered into their body so that they calm themselves down. And as they calm themselves down, the horses will calm down, and you can observe that.
Yeah.
So it's and the same.
They nearly mirror you in many ways, don't they?
They have this thing called mirror neurons, which we all have mirror neurons, but it helps. It's one of those things which helps you get in sync with people.
Yep.
And with other creatures. And we all have them, all mammals have them.
Okay.
But I like to think of it not so much as they're mirroring us, there's an element of that, but they're actually holding up a mirror that we can see ourselves in.
Okay.
Yeah.
They essentially mirror our behavior.
They show us how our behavior is coming across.
Yes. Which again, I think is really important, because sometimes, especially in this digital world, we can just type away and be, say, just write whatever we want to write on a keyboard, because there's no face-to-face interaction. And I think people often feel safer emailing or texting versus having the conversation, especially face-to-face, that we become less aware of how we are and how we're being and how we're presenting ourselves and what our body language is doing and saying. Hello. So curious.
Curiosity is their one of their main traits. So that's why they work so well with us.
Yeah,
because they're curious about us.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They're so beautiful. They're so amazing. Have a good sniff.
Yeah. Test it out. They can probably smell the fly spray on me.
Yes. And so then do we do some sort of like leadership sort of stuff where we're essentially building that sort of communion between the horse and yourself, and then essentially getting them to showing them that you're the leader to some degree? Will there be any of that type of thing going on?
Yeah, and I try and do as much of that as possible at liberty, rather than see how they're following me at the moment, because we can do it on the lead, and we certainly do some of it on the lead, because when people are first not used to the horses, it gives them a sense of control that they don't have when they're just loose. But the leadership we do with them is actually about creating a connection. So like the most important thing in to be a leader, you've got to have followers. And there's two main ways of having followers. You can beat them into it, or you can have them join you because they want to.
Yes, which is ultimately how we want to be in life, right? We want people to follow us because we're walking in a direction that they want to walk in as well. And especially I feel like a lot of this will be it retreats really for anyone, but I really do feel like it would be specifically beneficial for like the entrepreneur or the working woman or the corporate sort of space, because it really is about shifting yourself from where you are to where you want to be. And the more conscious you are of how you're showing up in the world, I think the more effective you can be in what that looks like as being a leader, and how you are showing up and the language you're using, and everything, all of the physical aspects as well.
Absolutely. So the two main things that we I guess we're concentrating on from the leadership aspect, one is connection, because to inspire people you need to be able to connect with them, so the connection piece, but it's also the adaptive piece. So being aware that there isn't just one way to lead, that you need to lead the way is required of the situation that you're in. So there's ways that we can sort of simulate that with the horses, so that people get either through working together as a group and taking up different roles, or moving in and out of different roles themselves when they're with the horses.
Yes, and I feel like that's really really pivotal with where we've been at this last year with COVID, and really being able to change and adapt, because and do it from a space of not fear, like being able to change and adapt but not be fearful to change and adapt. Because I think COVID, Lara and I spoke yesterday about it, like COVID has really brought up a lot of fear for people, because now they're like fearful of the unknown, fearful of getting sick, fearful of their job not being around for them anymore. So irrespective of what's going on, really being able to step forward into the new year with really strong resolve and being able to pivot, because we know how to adapt to whatever situation we're in, and not from a place of fear.
Absolutely, yeah. And like these horses are obviously domesticated horses, and so they have things in their life that that happens to them because we've brought them into our world.
Yeah.
But even when you look at so this is all the exploring and the this is the way they live, right? Yeah. So they don't every situation is, let's have a look, let's test it, let's see what we can learn, rather than, oh my god, I've never. So we just it just moved. So she just had a little bit of a start, and now she's going to go in and look at it again because it moved.
Curious.
So curious. And that's what particularly in times like this, in our COVID times and everything else, we've got to be curious about how we can adapt, what we can do in the situation, because the old things that used to work aren't necessarily going to work anymore.
Yeah.
So we have to come with this idea of curiosity and openness and exploration to find those new ways to lead.
And I feel like for myself especially, and I don't know how many other people would be like feeling into this, but moving into the new year with a bit more of a sense of fun, like just because like the unknown doesn't have to be scary, the unknown can be fun, and that if you're moving through life with a bit more of a sense of fun and joy, that everything flows more easily anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having lived most of my life with horses, I can assure you that is exactly the way that they approach life.
Yes.
Like, they're not, a horse will take leadership at a particular time because it feels like it wants to do it, and the rest go, oh, that looks like a good thing, let's follow along. And then another time it might be another one. Yeah. But essentially they are in this, they eat and they play and they sleep. So it's eat, play, sleep, eat, play, sleep.
And how do horses play?
Part of this exploration is playing, because it's like, interacting with my world. So that's a form of play. They'll run around with each other. One will start running, they'll all start running, they'll buck and they'll kick and, or they'll pick things up and throw them around, but it's just exploring their energetic bodies and what's around them.
Yeah, I suppose like a little kid likes to run and jump into puddles and
exactly. Yeah. I had one this morning break one of the valves in one of my water butts because she was climbing into it and getting her legs in the water and splashing around. So now I have a repair to do. But
I feel like they're because I'm starting to get to know them more, like they're like kind of like, I can see the personalities like my puppy, like they've got that mischievousness in their eyes and like to be a little bit cheeky, and they've all got their own personality. And we're getting to know each of them individually and, how they are and how they be, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of, when people are working with them, one of the things we do is get people to, we build up slowly because some people are nervous. Yeah. So we build up slowly and in a very safe way, but we give people the opportunity to actually feel which horse they're drawn to, and then we can explore what that is. So because the horses are different just the way we're different.
Yeah, and you're instinctively drawn to different types of personalities and that type of thing, that either is in you or that you want more of in yourself, I think. Yeah Amazing.
And one of the things that we have done, and probably given the fact that we've got limited time, we won't necessarily do it, but we ask people to observe the group and then pick out which horse they think is the leader.
Yeah.
And then we explore, and invariably people will pick different horses.
Yeah.
So then we explore what it is about that horse that made you think it was the leader.
Yeah.
And what that does is reveal what you think about leadership.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. And I love that. It's very thought-provoking. And, a lot of the work that I've been doing is all around being in the question. The more you can be in the question in life, the more, again, answers start to flow through and things start to flow and life becomes a little more, less resistance, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks like an absolutely amazing day there, as it is here in Sydney by the looks of things, which is nice. Finally some sunshine, although the rain is always needed. We are super excited to be getting closer to the event. And thank you for your time this morning. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we sign off?
I guess, I mean, the only thing from my perspective is making sure that anybody who's coming knows that they, because we have to do all the waivers and stuff like that for safety, because that's just, you know, part of the normal thing. But the main thing is just that people wear safe shoes.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't care what they wear. Maybe something would be a good idea, but but you know, if people want to wear shorts and t-shirts or long pants or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. But it is just about, you know, having some safe shoes with them. Because if they don't, I have to say you can't come in the arena with horses. You have to stay outside. So
safety first. Well, I've had a horse tread on my toe and it hurts, and I had good shoes on. So speaking from experience, you certainly don't want a horse standing on you, even if it is by accident, because they are heavy.
Exactly. And always it's people's responsibility to look after their own feet.
Yes.
But still, you know, take precautions and wear safe shoes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And we are super excited. Thank you for your time. And, you know, maybe we'll have another chat before, we'll see. But again, it's so beautiful to see the horses up close.
Hang on. Am I back? No, I'm not back yet. Hang on.
You were, and then you disappeared again.
There I am. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought you might as well say goodbye to my face rather than to scratching horses at the moment. So thanks, Indle. It's actually, I've been really enjoying listening to all the lives with the other facilitators. And I think it's going to be an amazing experience for people. There's so much that they're going to get out of it. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, I really think so as well. And because it is so, yes, there's a lot going on and it will be a very full-on weekend, but that's what I mean. Like sometimes you just need to kind of get in there, throw loads of information at yourself. It's the same stuff repeated in different ways. Somewhere or the other, your brain's going to get it and you're going to get shifts and transformation. Like there is just no way that people cannot walk away from this event, you know, with some sort of transformation and nuggets of gold and, you know, really moving into the new year in a really positive direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fantastic time to be doing it. Not any New Year's a good time to be doing it, but this particular New Year, I think, is a particularly good time to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And people they're gonna come away with something.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
And they're also they're going to be exposed to so many different ways of doing things, and they're going to find the one that resonates with them the most that they can pursue later as well.
Yes, exactly. And that was absolutely our philosophy in doing it like this, is that we wanted to open the doors to lots of different ways of being and doing, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So until you're exposed to it and it's you know, available to you, that you can then start to move forward into life. And it's all practical stuff, you know, on energetic levels and practical levels and emotional levels and mental levels, and it will affect you in every aspect of your life, you know, from your relationships with your family to your children to your lineage to, you know, your work. So, you know, yes, we're super excited, and I'm so glad that we got to connect. So thank you again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
You will indeed. Thank you. Bye.